You guys remember when the first trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife dropped? I do. Where many people saw something that looked bland, boring, and probably incredibly predictable, I thought it actually looked pretty cool, or at least like it had potential. Fast forward a few release date pushbacks, and in November 2021, the movie finally released. The long-awaited sequel to a beloved franchise that hasn't gotten a decent movie in quite a few years. It should have made hundreds of millions at the box office. Hell, even I was excited for it. And then it kind of just disappeared. It didn't do terribly at the box office, but I mean, only $198 million for a movie like this? Funny thing too, I didn't even watch it in theaters. Yeah, my family went to see Encanto instead, which was definitely a better choice. But the point is, the movie kind of faded into obscurity after like a few weeks. And now with it being on demand and DVD, I finally decided to give it a go. And if I'm being honest, I actually kind of liked the movie a good amount. Or at least, up until the third act. The first half of the movie really worked for me. It was quiet, pretty funny most of the time, and it was nice. It almost made me think that Afterlife would be everything I wanted from the movie, a film about the legacy of the Ghostbusters, and especially what that meant to Egon Spengler's children and grandchildren. Everything with Phoebe and Trevor felt nice, felt like a nice telling of a potentially emotional story, and even Callie's character felt refreshingly normal. The movie felt like it would be a contemplation of grief, and I was all for that. And then it pulled what every single modern blockbuster that looks half decent does and screwed it all up. I am so damn sick of action movies doing this stuff. Every single time a blockbuster comes along, I think, maybe this will be the one to change things up, take things slow. But no, as soon as that third act starts, Afterlife drops all the good character moments it builds up in exchange for your average normal people saving the world, because why not? I mean, can we ever get a nice small story about real people instead of a child squaring up with a damn god? I mean, it seems like every action movie does it now. Shang-Chi, and I love that movie. Black Widow, Space Jam 2. I'm joking, that movie just sucks. But I mean, really, it always happens. It's so common in most action movies that the stakes never match up with the scale of the film. Afterlife takes place in the middle of nowhere with the most regular, normal people you could ever meet, and it ends with them stopping God. The original Ghostbusters builds the escalation up, and it also works because it's more of a comedy. But that's not even the problem here. Afterlife had the chance to do something different, to instead of making a world-ending climax, tell the story of legacy and grief in the context of a revived franchise, something like how The Matrix Revolutions did things. That movie did amazingly what Afterlife could have done. And the thing is, I thought Ghostbusters Afterlife was so close. The fan service before the third act wasn't even bad. In fact, one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie was Phoebe's phone call with Ray. I mean, come on, that scene was perfect. One of the best uses of bringing an old character back I've ever seen in a whole era of fan service and cameos. And then they waste it. Look at this scene where Callie confronts Phoebe over her obsession with her grandfather and how she felt he treated her compared to how they resolved it.
Oh, and there were all these photos of me, like he was tracking my entire life.
How rewarding. Super news. We really want to hear about it.
They resolved it in a joke. Why? And do not even get me started on CGI Harold Ramis. I thought we were past all of this, but I guess they just cannot go a single year without making a CGI resurrection. Like I said many times before, I don't like to make videos about how much I hate a movie. And in all reality, I don't really hate Ghostbusters Afterlife. For as cookie cutter as that third act was, I still enjoyed it. For all its flaws, like the Dragon Ball final battle, the annoying podcast kid, and CGI Harold Ramis, it still kind of tried to tell a better story than most modern revives try to, even if it was far from sticking the landing. Maybe its reception could signal studios that they need to embrace less of the biggest scope possible and give audience something real. That being said, we need to stop CGIing dead people.